Hello, everybody. You're listening to Crunch Squad. It's a podcast within a podcast wherein we discuss the rules, the number crunching, and the mechanics behind this colossal game of Dungeons and Dragons. I am Ned, the host for Crunch Squad, and today I'm joined by...
It's Jacob!
Which can only mean one thing. Tonight we're talking about Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, and all of its different flavors and varieties.
Yes, let's do it. That's our Crunch Squad. What is all of the ingredients? We're going to crunch it down, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to assign a different flavor of Mountain Dew to each of the cosmologies within the greater plane sphere.
Exactly.
And how Maximus Shans, not Maximilian Shans, how Maximus Shans is going to get to all of those places.
Yep.
Oh, man. Is this, I know that fewer people listen to these episodes than listen to the main episode, so I'm just going to tell, for you few devoted people who are listening to this,
you get to know.
There's nothing going on with Maximilian. Nope. There's no, weird god stuff. Nope. It's just Thomas literally forgetting the name that Jacob says at the beginning of every episode.
And I should have corrected him in the moment, but I saw... because you don't see this, audience, because you're not, obviously, it's not a visual podcast. He was so, locked in and focused. I didn't want to be as he's, portraying a god, being like, it's actually Maximus, and just...
actually.
And just, I didn't want to ruin his flow. But, yeah, that's now somehow become the canon, and there's some...
Yep. Oh, man.
We love you, Thomas.
And Thomas is the one editing this, so we'll see if he leaves that in or not.
Yes.
We love you. Thank you for all of the work that you do. We're going to be discussing Max's subclass, the Monster Slayer Ranger Conclave.
Monster Slayer.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few of these mechanics in action, some of them very, very frequently and very effectively. But yeah, we're just going to go through and make sure that we get to all of them. There's some things in here that I don't think we've seen as much that'll be cool to show to our audience. So starting at 3rd level, all of the Rangers gain access to an additional number of spells that they can add to their known spells list. And these are all things that have to do with the archetype of slaying monsters, which it wasn't until I started really digging in and reading through the mechanics that I realized my sort of mental image of the Monster Slayer in relation to this class has been the Monster Hunter video game franchise, where it's all about the big beasts that you're going and taking down. And I think Max has kind of leaned it in that direction with his stories about fighting the Sphinxes and we were attacked by the Chimeras and all that stuff. But they also are taking inspiration for this class from monster slayers, think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a Van Helsing, fighting those more universal style monsters who are a bit more humanoid, but we would still consider to be a monster.
Yes, they're not just the poacher type, if you will. They're not the game hunter. Yeah. That is definitely something I leaned into for Max, just to be the thrill of the hunt, if you will, just because I thought that was a fun characterization. But it definitely can, as many things in D&D, you can go with a wide variety of choices in what you want to do. You could be the game hunter. You could be I am on a quest to rid this evil of the world, the Van Helsing, the different taking down of evil creatures and having almost a crusade-like quality to it. So there's a lot of different directions you can go.
Yeah, the thing that kind of made that click in my brain was I was looking at the spell list and I was like, okay, protection from evil and good. We've seen that used a lot. To protect against, the fey creatures, the hags and whatnot. But I was looking at Zone of Truth, thinking why do you need to cast Zone of Truth on a chimera? Oh, wait, it's not for the bestial aspect of it. It's for the vampires, the mummies, the witches, all that kind of stuff.
100%. And I think we even, it brings it up to Zone of Truth on the hag heart, being this is a technique that the hag is a monster. It is a evil entity trying to do dark dealings. And this is a way to maybe, obviously, slay it, not with arrows or bolts, but with words, with truth.
Yes.
A zone of truth, if
with
you will.
the power of heart.
Yes, exactly. Match it in its own game. It's really interesting because, you can go a lot of different ways with it, but it gives you a arsenal of spells and abilities that aren't just to slay, to physically slay. It is to root out these different monsters or evil creatures that you want to focus on.
And the other spells getting up into higher levels also tie into that. So we've got Magic Circle at 9th level, which Max should have access to now.
Yes, Max has cast it once, I believe, and it was... Why did I cast it? Oh, I cast it, speaking of friggin' hags, it was the second time we encountered the heart when Ignis finally destroyed it. I believe I cast it to basically make sure it could not escape that circle if it somehow got out and became a manifestation outside of just the beating heart.
Yeah, this is kind of our protection from good and evil, but even beefier because it can form like a physical barrier that they can't move across.
Yes.
A lot better for either protecting yourself from or containing the threat.
Yes, very much a Constantine, if you will, if you're going to the DC universe for the Constantine character.
Level 13, hopefully we'll get to level 13 in this campaign. You get Banishment, which this one, for most creatures you cast it on, like if it's a creature that's native to your plane, it is fun to kind of do if we're talking about superheroes, a Ghost Rider thing, send them to a different plane. But it's especially effective against creatures that are visiting the material plane from other planes, because they're not supposed to be here. Their planar connection to the material plane is already weak, so it's a lot easier to banish them back to the plane they came from than it is necessarily to banish a creature that's from this plane to a different plane.
Yeah. See, Ataraxia just needed to wait a little bit. Then I could have banished him.
Exactly.
Back to the Pharaoh. It would have all been fine.
Yeah. And everybody else would have still been able to come with him.
Wait.
And here we're in exactly the same situation again.
Never mind.
And then up at 17th level, we get Hold Monster, which is like Hold Person, but it's the best one because you can target any creature.
Yes.
Doesn't have any restrictions by creature type.
And obviously fits very well with the literal monster slayers to hold the monster in place to make sure you can be able to control your battlefield.
Also at 3rd level, we've got 2 more features. One is Hunter's Sense.
Yes. I haven't used this one much. I think once, maybe twice, in a more recent arc of it where we are in the, I don't know, right term, the rock world, the Earth plane where...
The plane of Earth, yeah.
Yes, where Buster's entity lives, the entity that's kind of haunting him. I did use it against the entity itself to understand if there was any weaknesses, which, surprise, it's a freaking god, there's not. But it's a way to use an action, and any creature within 60 feet of you, you learn any damage immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities. So it gives you a way to obviously not mark your prey, but understand your prey as a monster slayer to see if there's any weaknesses or if there's any typical routes that you go with to attack that you're like, ooh, I should steer away from this because it's resistant.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique way that they are mechanizing metagaming to a certain degree, like specifically allowing for it with the mechanics. And this is in Xanathar's Guide, came out in 2017, very early on in the life cycle of 5e. So I think this was the first example we'd ever seen of that. And I'm not sure if they've double dipped since then. They probably have at some point, but this is still a very unique ability that not many characters are going to get access to.
And then also at 3rd level, and this is something I use all the time, is the Slayer's Prey ability. This is where you're just getting another, as a bonus action, you designate a creature within 60 feet, and for the first time each turn you hit it with a weapon attack, it gets an extra 1d6 damage. It's kind of like it's been compared to Hunter's Mark very much, but it actually is not a spell. That's very clearly laid out. It is just an ability, so it's very nice, whereas Hunter's Mark is a concentration spell, where you have to lock in and then not use another concentration spell. This is just an ability you have to bonus action and designate them, and then you can obviously cast other spells at will. It's just really helpful for adding a little bit more punch to your weapon attacks.
Yeah, and it's nice that there's not like a specific restriction on how many times you can do this. Like with Hunter's Sense, you can use that a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier. You gain all of them at a long rest. With this one, from what I understand, you can designate the creature as your target as many times as you want. And then sort of the restriction around resting is it lasts on that creature until you finish a short or a long rest, or until you choose a different creature to be your target. But you can do it as many times as you want, it looks like.
Yes. I think I've taken the interpretation on where it's like in battle, you can hop it around with bonus actions as much as you want. Once the battle's over, though, obviously those creatures are dead and there's not necessarily... I guess I could metagame it and be like, my Slayer's Prey is Chozo until we find another thing to attack. I could maybe metagame that, but I think that would be just a little bit too much. So I have tried to keep faith to the idea of once a battle's over, probably need a rest before I'm able to start bouncing it around to the next battle.
Interesting. Okay. Then up at 7th level, we get Supernatural Defense. You gain extra resilience against your prey's assaults on your mind and body. Whenever the target of your Slayer's Prey forces you to make a saving throw, and whenever you make an ability check to escape that target's grapple, add 1d6 to your roll.
Yes, this is nice, taking on the bigger creatures or the bigger targets that do obviously pretty big damage or make you do saving throws. Now, Max has the unfortunate -2 to every saving throw as a consequence of pulling a card.
A little bit cursed there.
Yes, but especially when we face some big bads, this is very nice to be able to give Max at least a little extra helping hand to hopefully save.
Yeah, because the average on a d6 is 3.5, so that hopefully will make up a little bit extra for the current deficiency you have with your saving throws.
Yes.
Then we get to the one that Max just gained at 11th level, Magic User's Nemesis.
Yes.
And this one as well, I think, is more geared towards the more humanoid type vampires, witches sort of side of the Monster Slayer.
Yes, I don't think I've used it yet, but it's kind of like, just like how Slayer's Prey is, you could say, a modified, maybe a little bit weaker of a version of Hunter's Mark. The Magic User's Nemesis is a little bit of a weaker version of, Counterspell? Where at 11th level, you gain the ability to thwart someone else's magic when you see a creature casting a spell, which is really nice that it says creature, because then you can obviously go with not just humanoid or something, but it's any creature that's doing this, like a beholder or something. Casting a spell or teleporting within 60 feet of you, you can use your reaction to try and magically foil it. The creature must succeed a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or its spell or teleport fails and is wasted. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So it's a one-time use in a battle, but it can definitely help in a pinch. Max's saving throw spell save, or his spell save DC is not great. I focused more on the physicality than like boosting. He has an okay wisdom score, but it's not like getting up there where it's really helping. But also, when you have a freaking wizard who has divination, who can foil people's rolls, including saving throws, it can definitely, you can stack a couple of abilities, and this can save a lot of hopefully a lot of bad situations at a pinch.
Yeah. And there's an interesting kind of reversal here going on from Counterspell also, in terms of like how difficult it is for the other person to resist it. Because Counterspell is a 3rd level spell, and if you cast it to counter a spell of 3rd level or lower, it instantly fails. But if it's a spell of 4th level or higher, you can cast it at the same level to automatically dispel it. But if it's higher than the level you're casting it, then you as the caster have to make a skill check with your spellcasting ability modifier to see if you can beat a DC of 10 plus the spell's level. So some crazy math going on there. Essentially, like, the higher the spell you're trying to counterspell, the higher of a success you have to roll. Whereas with this one, it's just a flat DC, your spell save DC as a ranger, that they have to beat. So it's, for like the lower level spells, it's definitely easier to, like, you get a guaranteed nullification with Counterspell at 3rd level or lower, but this could potentially make it easier for you, the ranger, to counter those higher level spells.
Oh yeah, someone could cast a 9th level spell and I have just as much odds to maybe cancel it out as a lower level. So it has, you could say, like you were pointing out very wisely, it has not as much advantage in the lower level spells, but higher level spells, it evens the playing field pretty well, where you are just having your opponent do a straight roll to try and save against it. And again, if you have characters who can help influence rolls, that becomes very helpful.
Yeah, in comes Buster with his divination roll, in comes Ataraxia with his silvery barbs, and bing bang, we got it.
Yep.
And then we get to the capstone for the Monster Slayer at 15th level, which we'll see if we end up reaching this far in this campaign. It's going to be close. But this is kind of an extra benefit that you get sort of on top of the supernatural defense that we were talking about earlier.
Yes. It's when 15th level, called Slayer's Counter. You gain the ability to counterattack when your prey tries to sabotage you. If the target of your Slayer's prey, again, it's a stacked ability, so it focuses on the Slayer's prey that I'm marking someone, forces you to make a saving throw, you can use your reaction and make one weapon attack, which is so nice that it says that too. It doesn't say melee attacks. Sometimes you get really hampered when it says melee attacks, and you're like, oh, but I want to be a ranged person. This one is very broad, and I think it's on purpose because of the ranger ability, and a lot of rangers like to do distance attacks, even though Max has kind of countered that with the close quarters fighting with his crossbow. But it is very nice still to do that, where it says, again, you can make a user reaction to make a one weapon attack against the quarry. You make this attack immediately before making the saving throw. If the attack hits, your save automatically succeeds, in addition to the attack's normal effects. So that is very nice because not only are you having potential to, you're basically rolling an attack roll to save, and if your attack roll hits, you not only save, but you also hit. And if it, it's really nice.
And we've got that extra fallback where even if you don't actually hit and succeed with that attack, you still get to add a d6 to the saving throw that you're about to make.
Yep, they definitely designed this to help stack abilities for, again, being a monster slayer, for facing those monsters and having more and more of a boost. You see a lot of subclasses have a wide range of abilities that's like, oh, this is helpful in this situation, this is helpful in this situation. And the Monster Slayer, again, does. We talked about that with the Monster Slayer spells accessibility. But they really did an interesting job here where abilities are stacking on top of each other, which at least in all the different ones I've researched, you don't see that so purposeful in the creation of the subclass. And I find it really interesting and fascinating. And again, like we said, we're obviously hitting a curve of the story right now where we're seeing some things starting to become tied up. So I don't know how long we have, but it definitely is a really fun class for a wide variety of adventures, including the one we're on.
Indeed. Well, that is all of the mechanics going into this subclass. Any other stuff that you just want to say about the Monster Slayer before we wrap up?
Again, I really liked what we touched on in the beginning, that Monster Slayer can be a tool that you can shape to what you want your character to be. You can be the big game hunter. You can be the Van Helsing trying to find out these evil creatures. You can be the dragon hunter, where you're literally hunting dragons, and this is a way that you can do that. And as it's written, it gives you that ability, especially with dragons that also use spells and can cast. It definitely helps you model your role play according to what you want to do. I really like that. And like I said, with all of the spells, you have a wide variety of helps that you can do that aren't just pack a punch. It's definitely a way that you can have fun in the environments that are thrown your way in your campaign. Like I remember reading Magic Circle. I'll go back to that one real quick. I remember reading it at first and being like, how am I ever going to use this? And then it came up where it felt very almost natural for us to use that in that moment of protecting not Malamara. Oh, I did it. I did it again. I haven't done that in so long where I referenced season 1. Oh, heart's breaking. No. When I'm helping Ignis to be able to hopefully destroy the heart, to be able to give some protection to the ship, to the crew of, okay, if we're really going to try and do this and somehow we accidentally let this entity out, how could we contain it? And that's really, again, it's a really cool thing to do. And it gives a lot of good visuals and a lot of good variety to what you want to do. You can be in the jungles and hunting things. You can be in the city. You could literally be an evil entity hunter in the city where you are almost a bounty hunter trying to root out these things in back alleys or, in the underworld, if you will. There's a lot of variety to it. I just love that. That's what I've always been drawn to, is a character that can give you a variety of options to tailor to what you want to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. It almost kind of feels in a way like it's even more leaning into the idea with the original Ranger, back before they did the updated rules, where you've got like your favorite enemy. It's like, I have a specific creature type that I really, really don't like, and I want to be very effective against that. The Monster Slayer kind of takes that and really amps it up to the next level even.
Yes. But that's something that I've really liked, because that was one of the biggest criticisms of the Ranger and how it was a bad class in the start of it all was because it limited you so much. Like, oh, if your favorite enemy is orcs, you have all these cool abilities you can do and ways to fight them, but if at the luck of the draw, your campaign, your thing doesn't really encounter orcs that much, you're kind of really up a paddle, or you're up a creek without a paddle, where you're just like, oh, I have all these cool abilities, but we're not really facing the thing I want to hunt. They tried to, in the revision of the hunter class, broaden those out, and I think Monster Slayer just does that so well, where it gives you these abilities where you can, as the player, choose for it to help you focus on something, but it doesn't narrow it so much where it's saying when you're fighting only monsters, or when you're fighting abominations, or when you're fighting you can narrow it down to tailor it to be like, I'm using this skill to, get revenge on the vampires that killed my family. But at the same time, it's not written as an only vampire thing, an only, abomination thing. You can do the choosing instead of the rules doing the choosing for you.
Dude, this subclass is even cooler than I realized it was before we started recording.
Yeah. It is. It's just a fun thing. That's what drew me to it, is the idea of when we were first kind of talking about this new campaign and creating it, talking about being pirates and on the open sea. My thought was we're going to face a lot of crazy crap. And it'd be nice to have someone who can deal with this in unique ways that pack a big punch but also can adapt to the moment. And that's what this class does. The subclass does. It really highlights giving you a jack of all trades, not all trades, but a jack of a lot of trades, if you will, to fighting a foe, but never putting it in a box where you're only limited to certain types or certain situations. It's very adaptable.
So, listener, hopefully we have convinced you that your next character should be a Monster Slayer Ranger.
Yeah!
And we hope that you have enjoyed listening as much as we have enjoyed getting into the nitty-gritty of this awesome subclass. From wherever you get your podcasts, please go ahead and leave us a review. It helps boost our ratings throughout each podcast service, puts our show in other people's recommended feeds, lets us know that you like what we're doing. And if you want to write something maybe a little longer than a review, you could also send us an email at icastfireball2020@gmail.com. Maybe even if you've got some fan art you've been working on, you could send that to us. We've gotten some great fan art lately that we've been really enjoying, and we would love to hear from you, and we're hoping to get the word out there and set this podcast on fire. And to get the most recent up-to-date content from all of us here, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter with the handle icastfireball20. You can also follow our YouTube channel where we're posting each episode every week, sorting those out into playlists, and also we're getting some fun shorts up there so you can watch some of Josh's very fun little animations he's doing to help bring some of these story moments to life more.
As well as having a side campaign completely on YouTube. There's a whole other campaign out there for a whole other system on YouTube. Go check it out.
And Jacob's not in that one, which we've had some comments demanding to know where you are. Some people just don't love Sanderson as much as other people, and that's okay.
It's not that I don't love Sanderson, even though I don't. No, I'm joking. It's not that I don't love Sanderson. It's just one time I have, we all have very busy lives, but it's just, especially with some of the things I have to do and my nights being kind of restricted to my job, I got to be selective to it. And two, the world, I believe, is very much, and hopefully you guys are, loving this. It's very much into the, what's the book series that it really focuses on for Sanderson?
Stormlight Archives?
Stormlight Archives, yes. Sorry. See, everyone, all Sanderson fans listening to that will be like, he doesn't know. I'm sorry. But I've read Mistborn. But I have not read the Stormlight Archives, and I know all of the words that are coming at me right now in thoughts and in mischievous undertones of breath, but I know that world very well, the Mistborn world. I don't really know Stormlight Archives, so I thought it would hinder more than help. Anyway, this is really a side note for the outro, but go listen to it on YouTube, and you get to watch it too.
On YouTube, exactly. And you can all kinds of fun sneak peeks of upcoming episodes, interesting insight from the players in DM, and some behind-the-scenes shots of us making this incredibly fun world. Now's the part where we give a shout-out to Improv Tabletop. That's the one that I do. I am the host and GM over there. We've been doing some Bump in the Dark stuff, but we're going to be getting back into Fate pretty soon. I'll give a little sneak peek. Today, I just picked up a copy of Griffin McElroy's new Choose Your Own Adventure book, The Stowaway, that just got published. And we've been doing some Choose Your Own Adventure books over on Improv Tabletop, and I think this will be a very exciting one to get to sometime in the near-ish future. Keep your eyes out for that.
Fun.
Lastly, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I am Ned, your host for Crunch Squad, and I've been joined by...
I'm Jacob, and I play Maximus Shans.
Are you sure it's not Maximilian Shans?
I guess you'll have to find out as you keep listening. Keep
the fire going, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.